Stardriven Gateway. It's an episodic game where you're going to actually play either competitively or cooperatively. It'll be 3 episodes that are competitive, 3 episodes are cooperative. And what you're doing is you're playing of one of 4 factions. Right now we have set up for 2. And those factions, you'll be running your ship. This is your ship tableau. And on your ship you have crew, and then you have crew stations. So everything you're going to do out in the greater universe here with your ship, so this is my ship here, I will control from my tableau here. So you'll start with a hand of 4 cards. You have to actually play crew to a station to activate that station. And then you have to play a die on that station to actually use that station's function. So for example, this is one of the main pretenses of the game is it's a post-scarcity universe for power. So in the future, learn how to use faster than light by manipulating gravity, but while doing it, they can actually get unlimited power as long as they're jumping. So that's how you get power back to your ship when you're moving around. So navigation, you actually play exactly the die there. You have to move from wherever you're at to a gravity number that matches the die you play, and then you'll get that much power back. So I could jump right to here. That's where I show up. I get 1 more power back. And eventually you're going to have to do that as you're moving along just to recharge your ship. So that's the main way you get power in the game. The other way is helm. If you had somebody in your helm station, play a die there. It costs the power. Everything else costs power. And you would just move that many spaces. So just like 1, 2, 3. So you have crew. You're playing all the different stations. You have engineering, infosys, which is basically you scanning. So you get to see the things around you. That's one of the ways to explore if you don't want to just face check nebulas and see what's in there. The main loop of the game is you basically trying to stretch out your dice and your crew to get the most amount of actions on this out of 2 actions you can do, and complete as many missions as you can to get reputation on voting worlds. So you see these larger worlds, they're voting worlds. So when you complete a mission, you're going to have to do a mission on a matching biome or a picture like asteroid or spaceship. So I'd have to be, say, here or here or here to be able to complete this mission. And in order to do it, I have to match the symbols with my crew. So I have to have those skills and that crew value. So if I didn't have that crew value, it doesn't matter, or that symbol, it doesn't matter how many crew value I have, I don't have the ability to do it right now. So I'd have to start building up my hand or building up my ship to do it. So for example, I had this one, has a shuttle, it has an extra skill, that's fine, but it has 2 value, I only need 1, I'd be able to complete that mission. If I did it from my hand, I would have to discard it, and it goes back to crew quarters, and you'd be able to spend a die there to draw back up. So I would complete that mission. I would get a reputation on the nearest voting world to where I actually did the mission, which would be here. I would actually get a mission blocker so no one else can do any more missions in this sector. So even if there's another one of this verdant one, no one else will be able to go there. They'd have to explore somewhere else and find one. And then the end of the game is you're going to have an end game marker in the mission deck, and you'll set how far down it goes. We're shooting for close to an hour as we can get, but it's probably closer to half an hour per player. So in 2 player, you probably can play pretty close to an hour. But when that deck marker comes up, you'll have finished the round you're in. You get 1 more round, and then you'll tally up the points. So for example, if you had, in this particular one, you're trying to get reputation on all the planets to get access to dig sites for alien tech. That's the story of the mission. So if I had 1 on everyone, I would get 12 points because I have 1 of every planet. And if you had, say, 3 for the other player, he had 3 planets, you maybe get 6 points because he only has 1 on 3 planets. And you just take those off as you count them. But different episodes will have different scoring. Obviously, the ones that are cooperative, you're playing against things like the Raiders or some other bad guys that come into the game. You have to join up to stop them. And there's other things you run into. You can actually recruit new crew. You can promote the crew you have to make them a little more effective. You can explore. That's how Raiders pop up. When you reveal them, they'll show up. There's anomalies. When you run into them, bad stuff happens to you. These cards here. But if you can spend a crew of the right symbol, you can keep that for a discard effect later that you can use to give you a boost. So once you get through it, you learn something, you can actually push you forward. That's basically, we'll have 6 different things, so you have different ways of scoring. Each one will play a little different. Some will be you're going head to head, some will be you're actually playing together. You guys have any questions?
How many players can this play up to?
4. We have 4 factions. We have 2 here. This one's more like a alliance, like a federation, This is more like rebel smugglers. We'll have another one that's just synths. They're basically AI that have gone off on their own. And then we'll have another one. I said the future is like post-scarcity for power. Well, the way the civilizations come together to send huge ships back and forth with huge battery banks to basically deliver power and then get trade goods and trade back and forth. So that's the other faction. They'll play similar, but they'll be asymmetrical a little bit on their ships and their crew.
What's the age recommendation going to be?
I would think it's probably like 12, 14, so in that range.
Like every published, it'll be 14 plus.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. This is one of the more complicated games that I've made, so it's going to be a little bit more decision processes. I don't think it'd be something for younger kids. But I don't know your kids. Maybe they'd love that.
How do the scenarios break down? Will there be 3 different competitive goals, 3 different?
Well, they'll break down.
objectives?
They'll play through a story. So if we
Okay.
do it in order, there may be one competitive, one cooperative. But if you just want to jump in and play one, say, all right, what are we playing tonight? Oh, I want to go head to head. All right, we'll pick the first one. We'll do that. So you can play them over and over again. It's not like a story where once you tell the story, it's done. It's like, oh, here's the thing going on. How does it play out?
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say it's more like a thematic thread.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's like a thread that you're following. You're not reading paragraphs of story or revealing stuff.
Yeah.
It's some flavor text on those mission cards and set up an overview of that scenario and what's going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of world building because we're actually building an IP, shared universe. For example, you see the big gateway that the theme's named after. There's a race called the Sojourners that precede every other known alien species. And their culture, from what they've learned, is that they build up their civilization to such a point and then they just move on. And then leave signposts behind for anybody who's advanced enough to follow them. So everyone's trying to discover their tech to push forward, not just to understand the gateway, but to understand where they went, why they, like what their abilities were, all that.
Okay.
That's like the overarching story of it.
And when did you say you think this one's going to hit?
First, shelves will probably be a year after, but first quarter next year for Kickstarter, and then usually within a year after that.
Okay. What was the full title again? One more time.
Stardriven Gateway.
No subtitle?
That is, well, Stardriven is the overall title, then Gateway is the subtitle.
Okay.
The following game is Stardriven Saga. So the third one should be Stardriven Colonies, but that's the least, obviously, least forward. So that could change.
That one could change.
That one has the most work to be done. Yeah.
Fair enough.